other things that are important, we're not even paying attention to.
No. No.
And we're becoming a laughing stock when.
It's too bad.
Well, the town,
Anyway,
the
thank
town,
you for coming.
Yeah, the town line screen should be on shortly. It doesn't show up yet. But we have no participants on Zoom. I did send this out on Facebook. And we did have a couple of members that said that they would tune in.
Well, eating, I'm having breakfast this morning.
That's okay, I understand. I haven't eaten for a couple of days now. I'm very hungry. I won't chew on it.
There's probably better ways to get fiber than that.
Oh.
All right,
Well.
I'm going to record this. Record on the computer. There. We're all set. Yep, the lights are on. We got 2 mediums going, so we'll get the word out here on recycling.
Better start than I'll start. Welcome everyone to the Recycling Committee meeting. It's been a long time. This is June 17th. It is 5:17. And thank you for coming, folks. It's been a few months since we met. Donnie has come down, and our agenda this evening is in front of you, and also some additional things to boot. The biggest thing that I'd like to discuss, and we can go right down through the bullet points here if you want, but I do want to discuss the reuse center and what we're going to do going forward here, if that's okay with everybody. But I'll jump right down, and we'll talk about the composting thing is the first thing on the agenda. So anybody want to discuss that? I'll give us an update where we're at.
So for the focus for 2020 was the composting action plan, the school system contacts, the video clips, the town brochures, and the adult education classes. But due to COVID-19, these items all got tabled because we had to contact people who weren't at work or were at home or would have to be in contact. For example, the school had enough to deal with without us, trying to set up different programs. So these can all be started up again. As to adult education classes, that would be something that would be later on in the year. So I think the most important one there is the composting and the video clips.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, we have all our brochures at the town office. However, CDC requirements indicate you should have, you should not have all these papers out. So we have covered over everything with plastic, and we're only giving out the bare necessities, which are a listing of the online resources for all of the registrations that need to be done, election items, so the very basic necessities. So we can get back to the brochure, but probably we shouldn't be giving out more paper at this point, today at least.
So the schools, obviously, we'd follow that up in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And we can discuss that at a, probably, I would say, the first September meeting, or is that too late, Catherine?
That might be too late. They're supposed to get their guidance in August.
Okay.
Although we don't want to interfere with that, but probably we should get ourselves in there.
Yeah, get ourselves in some sort of, at least find out what we're gonna have for a time frame.
Okay, so we'll speak with the schools in August.
And we know Sherry Littlefield, the new superintendent, was very pro the town being involved with the school system.
Yeah.
And then we're still waiting to AgriCycle out of Exeter, when we talked about that does the composting and does the dumpsters for whether it be the schools or the businesses. They're anxious to, one of the things, again, they'll have to come down and take a look and see who we can get on board. The more, Jerry up there, the more we get them on board, finding out how much interest there is obviously going to be dependent on how they would set up for their little composting dumpsters, whether it be at the school, by the Shop and Save, the MCI kitchen, any place that we're doing that. So again, it's going to be, we obviously obviously set up as a whole program, and we don't want to just single them out again, and that would be something that we're going to bring in. Obviously, there'll be a little bit of a cost to it. How are we going to handle that? Are we going to, obviously with school districts and stuff, is that going to be something that's going to be incorporated in my budget, or is that going to be something that we can incorporate into the school budget to promote getting that food waste and stuff out of? I did look at a few places. They have one down in New Hampshire, just outside where my sister lives. They have a pretty good food composting facility there. And this is something that was a private organization that decided that they were going to get in Comp Ad or something like that was the name of the company. Their initial startup for they service 50 communities in their area. And again, it's a private corporation. It cost them a little bit over $2.5 million for their small program. They're creating about 850 to 500 tons of compost, usable compost on an annual basis. So obviously that's a little bit bigger than what we're looking at. But again, there's going to be initial startup. I didn't realize there was that much to it. The trommel screening, the turning of the material, and again, we still have that opening. I've still got the opportunity to have our program try to coincide with Skowhegan once we take a look, because there is some new leadership over there. They have a new solid waste and recycling guy over there. Mr. Gray has retired, so I will.
What's the name of the company again? I forget the name of that.
Comp Ad, I think, is what the name is. COMPAD.
Comp Ad.
Yeah, Comp AD or whatever it is, but they're a private organization, and that's one. I think, from what I understand, they got some of their funding they got from the public sector for a grant or something to be able to provide composting to local communities too. So, and maybe even looking into that to see if there's any interest in the private sector to be able to provide that for communities that want it. But again, that's going to be based on material. If you can't supply them with, obviously we can't supply them with enough material so they can make money, they're not going to stay in business. So.
And okay, so that's the name of the company is Comp AD.
Yeah, and I took a little field trip over to Hawk Ridge and Unity last fall, and that's Casella does that one over there, and they have an award-winning program over there. If anybody ever gets a chance to see how that process works, that is amazing. I mean, it's beautiful, it's well kept. First thing that you always expect is the smell. There was little to no smell. They've got a very successful program, and they sell the compost. So it's been a viable business practice.
It's in Unity.
It's in Unity, yes, over in Unity Township. If you go down the horseback and bang a right, it's up there. I can't remember the name of the road, but it's right there, Ridge Road, maybe, on the left. You wouldn't even know it's there. But once you get in the facility, it's just a beautiful facility, and they've got some really, really good products there. When I was there, they had a 600 or 800 pound pumpkin grown in front of the office that was grown with their compost. So
Wow.
They're an award-winning program for the state of Maine. So, but it's something that obviously we can do. Whether we use, I think AgriCycle is a good outlet. They're a company here in Maine, and we're already doing the leaf and the wood chip composting. We've been doing that for a while. The organic farm. Now we've got a few other farmers from our storm. All of our wood chips that we chipped upside the road, which is a little over 180 tons, went to people for beneficial use. So we've already done 180 tons of wood chips this year just for beneficial use. So we compost. And we got a bunch more when I get chipped. Tom Roberts has shown interest when we get our brush pile chipped at the transfer station, that they would take a lot of those chips, and we've got another one out on the Snake River 715 Snake River Road who wants more. There's a lot. Got John Heaton Jones out off the end of the Berry Road is doing what they call a tillless garden or whatever, and he's got 4 or 5 acres that he wants to spread wood chips on, and he wants all he can take. So soilless gardening is what they're calling it, I guess. And, he said he would take a bunch more. So we've got plenty of outlets, and we're doing a lot with our brush. It's just the food one that we need to work on.
How many tons was that again? Just
180 tons we've taken out so far, and I've got 800 tons sitting at the transfer station ready to be chipped. So obviously we want to offer it to people in the community first, before we, some of the smaller ones, and then Tom Roberts will take a bunch of that. And, so we're on the right path as far as that goes with that type of waste. Biggest thing with food stuff is, like I said, is having a place to be able to store it, the smell. Food obviously doesn't smell great when it rots, and you want organic matter, you don't want meats and stuff like that, which tend to be a problem in some of the recycling programs. They throw it's just like recycling. They throw everything in plastic wrap when it's not recycling. They do the same thing with composting. They throw wrappers and paper, and that's the other good thing about that AgriCycle. They do most of the Hannaford's in the state of Maine, and they have a machine that they got that actually they call it a de-wrapper. It takes wrappers off of food products so they can use the waste. So I think that's where we need to start.
So how can we get on AgriCycle's priority list to look at our facility and give us?
All it'll take is for me to figure out if this is something that we want to do. I'd like to talk to see if there's going to be an interest, because again, we got to figure out, are we going to absorb the cost? Is this something that we want to do, and is it beneficial, or do we offer this to the private businesses and the other people and say there is going to be a cost associated with it?
So,
or do we ban, like we did with leaves, do we ban food waste and say we're not going to take food waste, you're going to have to find an outlet for it. Here's 2 outlets for it, because this is what you want to do. And I hate to force people to do stuff.
No.
I want it voluntary.
Let's start out voluntary. When do we find out from them what the cost would be for the simplest items without the meats?
Because one of the things I thought about, and I don't even know if they offer it, I'll make some calls next week to find out if, I was thinking if we had a spot where they could put let's just say a 20-yard container, and whether it was down by the reuse or someplace like that, and they picked it up every week or something like that, people could bring stuff to it on, say, a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, sometime when it can be monitored, and they could dump their waste off on those days if there would be enough. I mean, we could do it as a test trial to see if we would get enough to make it worth our while, and worth their while as well.
So for the schools and the companies, if we found out this was going to cost $80 per ton, and they were being charged, I don't know, $70 per ton, they probably wouldn't want to do it, because they haven't it all hauled away now, so they would have less hauled away. So I think we need to figure out
What the cost per
what
ton?
the cost will be per ton, or
Because
per
right now
unit, or
we're
whatever.
paying $68 a ton to get rid of it in the garbage. So if we're going to have to pay $200 a ton to move
That's
food
not
waste,
right.
and I hate to say that, because now I feel like I'm a hypocrite. We're saying, oh, so it's okay that when it comes down to money, it costs 3 times as much, but is it the right thing to do? Well, at some point you have to weigh the fiscal responsibility with the ability to be able to do the right thing.
to get people to buy into it, it has to be worth their while to buy into it, or else it's not
Right,
going
because
on.
they'll save money. If the school gets charged the tipping fee and the hauling, and it's $100 per ton, and then this auction comes in at 60, then it would be a no-brainer that they would separate this out. But if it came in at 200, then
Yeah, right,
no.
it's just not worth fiscally responsible to, and it's the same way, and I haven't touched base with Tom since we've had that storm with the chips, and I can call Tom Robinson. I don't know what his feeling is about food waste. We've always done the grass clippings and the leaves, he loves those, and there's certain thing, obviously, he's got little branches, the pine needles he don't want, but I guess I've never really asked him what he thinks about the food waste and what's the possibility of doing food waste, even if we used a small container and had him bring it once a week to put the food waste in, as long as it was the organic stuff. Would there be a place for us to dispose of it? Because that would be another option. But a lot of people don't like to deal with the food waste
Right.
just because of the smell.
Yeah.
After a while, it takes a while to compost, and rotten tomatoes, they stink, and rotten stuff stinks a lot. So, and that's why I said feasibly responsible. When you take in, if you ever want to see a composting program that works well, it's the one over in Skowhegan, but they've got the equipment and the ability to be able to do it. They actually take seaweed from the coast and they mix that in, and their program is not too bad, because they got somebody that's always taking care of their product. So again, if we have to create,
If we were to do it, create a couple of jobs out of it, now you've got 2 salaries, benefits, you'd have to buy the equipment, you'd have to have the spot to do it, and then hopefully you're doing the right thing, and then you're not having people complain about vectors, bugs, and wild animals and smell, so there's a,
That's why I can see why you want to partner in with them if you can.
with
because that way
somebody,
you can
or
put
even,
this
and I don't know, like I said, I've never thrown that across with Tom Roberts about the food waste part of it. I know a lot of people get discouraged because like at the schools, they throw a lot of their baggies and they throw a lot of stuff that isn't compostable into that barrel. And they throw their milk cartons because they say, well, milk cartons and paper will break down, or like take a while because they've got wax in the cartons, and there's some other things. It's one of those programs that if we're going to do it, it has to be monitored, make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success, that we can't throw
everything.
everything in there.
So if you contact the company AgriCycle, because there's no way to bid this out, there's not
Right,
enough companies to do it, so we've got to go find one and find out, on a normal setup of the type of items, maybe without meat and then with the meats, or,
Right.
however they have their categories, and find out what the cost would be to have the unit brought in here.
right.
Yeah,
Because I know they have smaller ones, but most of the places they do it with private enterprise right now. They have small dumpsters and they deal directly with, we'll say if they went to Wausau, they would send a bill to Wausau. You have the dumpster there with a closing lid, and each one, and if they have enough to do that run, obviously if they've got 2 people, it's gonna cost them a lot more than if we had 20 people on board, that 20 businesses that had these dumpsters that specifically dealt with food, that they would come and pick them up.
So if they gave us a quote and explained out, we need 5 businesses that do this.
Correct,
This is
right.
the price, or,
We had 10 people on
one,
board.
or,
Or I could do a central drop-off, and I'll check that too. Why don't I check in on that central drop-off, and we can have a place, like I said, maybe across from the transfer station or adjacent to the transfer, where they could set one where people could have it and picked up once a week, and what would be the cost. Maybe they've got a roll-off can that we can haul to them, and our cost, obviously, with our roll-off would be cheaper than them to come out and actually do that same process, I'm sure of it. But I'll run some options and some numbers by them and see
Yeah,
what
I
we
think that would
can
be
come
good.
back and get to the committee with that.
and then once we have that, we can talk to the businesses and say, this is what we're looking at. And
And
then
we
if
show
they
them
run
that-
away, we'll see that it costs too much. Or we might do just a central location, or this might be something that people would say, wow, this is, we'll save
Because
money.
realistically, we've got a good program. I mean, a lot of communities in the state of Maine offer the waste for their residents. A lot of other places do not deal with the businesses.
Mhm.
The businesses have to pay. What comes in their front door and goes out the back is all part of their operational cost. But if we could get them to buy in and beyond, we don't wanna say, okay, businesses, we don't want you anymore. It used to be enforceable, and they still state law, but I mean, if we wanted to look enforceable, residential trash is not supposed to be mixed with business or with commercial or with industrial trash, which happens every day. Mike Moster will pick up businesses and then he picks up his residents, and they're not supposed to be mixed under the law, but we kind of just shuck it because we don't have a separate system here that would be viable, saying, okay, now businesses, you're responsible to get rid of your waste, we don't want to see it at the transfer station, you guys can contract with
With a private hauler, you guys can take care of your own waste. Don't ever want to get into that. Again, we try to make the program successful by not instituting fees or cutting people out of the program, because they do such a great job. I mean, most of them do a good job and abide by the rules of the program. So, and if we can show benefit too, I mean, if it's costing them, if they're having Mike Bolster dump their dumpster 3 times a week, let's say, and it's costing them $60 every time they have it dumped, and it's going to cost them, they only have to dump it once at $60 because they're paying for another dumpster, it's only costing them $25. Now it's costing them $85 a week instead of $240. They say, wow, this is beneficial, but let's put our food waste over here and our regular trash over here, because now we only have to dump this dumpster once instead of 3 times. This over here is costing me half as much as him. So there could be some financial benefit for them. So hopefully that's what we'll find out, or at least I'll find out. I'll see what we can do.
Yeah, I think that would be good, because then if it worked out, we'd be able to do more composting and we'd be able to reduce our number, you know, our amount of garbage. Because that's the heavy, one of the heavy parts.
Because I know we still have a lot of people doing the backyard composting, and I think at some point, maybe this fall, we'll take a survey or do something, because it's not just the people that bought the composters from
Right.
us. I've got my own composting. I made my own bins, and my neighbors made their own bins. There's a lot of people that have their own bins that have been composting for quite a while, and nobody knows about them. I didn't even know about them.
Yes.
So they build their own out of pallets, and they're painting them black, and they're using them in their, you know, the compost in their roads. Well, how much are they actually pulling out that we don't even know, that we're not even,
Not tracking, yeah.
because I know there's a lot of them that do it.
So if you ever get the black composters that we sold through the Maine Resource Recovery Association that were so good, make sure you put the bolts in the bottom so that the groundhog doesn't carry it off.
Yes, 'cause they're-
Or that skunk doesn't use it for a home. I did that once. I opened up one night to put some eggshells in mine when I first got it, and I opened up the thing. I got a surprise. I had a skunk. Good thing he's staring at me head on instead of the other way around. Because I think it would have been different circumstances. But
Alrighty, so if you can just check into that, just give us an update whenever
I
you get
will.
the information, we'd appreciate
I'll
that.
see if I can break it down per cost and what it would cost to do that versus what they're doing. Maybe see, once we get that, maybe see what the people who would actually be using the service think of the ability to be able to
Fit,
join
yeah.
that type of a program and be responsive to it. 'Cause again,
I think if it got going and it was cost effective, I think they'd do it in a heartbeat, because like you said, 200 versus 240 versus maybe 80.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
that's
the
why I
whole
said it
period
could be
of
a
time.
benefit. A lot of people, that's how we did it with the cardboard. I mean, that's one of those things that people don't understand. I mean, I just went over a couple of weeks ago, and the Canaan Super Red over in Canaan, throws everything into one dumpster. Well, he was throwing cardboard away, and he found out that, hey, I need a cardboard dumpster, because I said, you're having this dumpster hauled 3 times a week at X amount of money. You can set this cardboard dumpster here. Now he's having that dumpster hauled once every 2.5 weeks. So what he's saving, because he had a lot of cardboard, everything comes in cardboard boxes, you know, so you show him the benefit. Well, geez, you only have to hold this once every 2.5 weeks. Yes, this one's costing you, but this is costing you 3 times, and this one's only costing you 1.5. So you're still saving $100. And $100 is $100.
Yeah. Alrighty, any questions?
The only item I would mention is I'd like to survey to find out about the compost bins, because before COVID-19, we had talked about doing another one of the bids with the Maine Resource Recovery and getting and buying those. So if we find out people have them, and then those that are interested, we'll have more statistics, and we can find out if we want to do another order.
Okay.
So how can we do the video clips so that we make a movie star of Donnie?
I don't know.
Do we want?
Now, we were going to do that in conjunction with school. Is that something that we were going to do?
We were, but then we talked about, well, obviously, we can't now, but, or couldn't, having Jane Woodworth do it.
Jane or
And
maybe
Dawn.
Mike go upstairs, somebody that knows something about it.
They're
I mean,
very
we can
good
do-
at
we can
it.
do that. Maybe just start with a basic recycling tips. This is what
Very
we're doing,
basic.
this is what we're doing now, this is what we can throw away, this is the stuff that you need to be recycling, and maybe.
We were gonna try to do that at the movie theater, but, you know, right
Yeah.
now, everything is
Yeah,
the way it is,
still,
it
right.
doesn't work, so.
So we'd have to figure out how to put it on Facebook or YouTube. Facebook is easier for the public. I'm not sure how we do that, we can check into it. But if we could get it into a format, I mean, Facebook has all the negative stuff, we could put something positive on it.
Yeah, we start with basic, this is the program, this is what we do. Even the facility, a lot of people don't realize what we do at our facility. And I just had a woman actually call me a couple hours ago that said that, well, on the coffee mate, on plastic coffee mate containers, I said, yeah, she said, it says it's recyclable. It's only recyclable if I cut that wrapper off the outside and I take the cap off. And I said, that's not true. If it's number 2 plastic, it will go in. Our vendor who takes it doesn't mind having that because it's part of the process when they go down and they shred and stuff, that's easily taken out. Much rather see you don't have to worry about taking your scissors and cutting those off individually, but she'd asked about the cellophane for cookies and stuff like that, the ones that straw, the little very clear plastic, the what I call crunchy plastic, it makes a bunch of noise, the cake topper thing. I said, that's stuff is thin plastic, that's a no-no. If we get that in our plastic, I said, they reject the whole load. It only takes 2 or 3 pieces in there because when you got a machine that processes it, that's $3 or $4 million, and that gets in there, it's not very profitable for the plastic manufacturers to recycle that if they're going to get garbage and stuff that doesn't belong in there. So again, there's still questions there. So what we're doing and why we take what we take, and a little bit about the process would be good.
Be a good refresher, and you don't have to be very long. You can
No,
do
it's,
a
5-minute clip, just going over.
You know, they got stuff you can put on Facebook. You can make a little YouTube video. I probably could put a few things on the town website. I would imagine getting along.
Yeah, it's just, some places paper, they confuse with paper and what we call paperboard. Well, paperboard is thin cardboard. We get a lot of communities that want to use our facility. Palmyra's, a few of the residents bring their bins over to get rid of the recycling. Well, they're putting paperboard in the newspaper. Well, it's paper. It's paperboard. I said, no, it's paperboard goes with the cardboard. Because once you dump it in the newspaper, now I'm paying a guy a bunch of labor to sit there and pick through little tiny pieces of paperboard to get out through the newspaper. So at the end of the day, if it costs me $70 or $70 a ton to process it and get it out the door, and I'm getting a return of $10 a ton, we're losing $60. So it's again proper segregation, but people still don't realize some of that stuff. So in other places, they're saying, well, paper board, so it goes in the paper. And then you've got, we talk about the white cardboard, the waxy stuff that a lot of it's freezer stuff. When people put it in the freezer, milk cartons, milk, orange juice, the paper ones got wax in them. They've been recycled to the end of life. We get thousands of those a week. And we have to sit there and pick them out of the cardboard because if they get in the cardboard, they can reject the load. Now, instead of getting $800 or $1,000 for that load, we've got $500 for labor. We made $500, but if we don't, we just lost $1,000.
So I'll contact Jane and ask her if she'd be interested in
Yeah,
this. And if she keeps it in her video format, we can put it on the town website too.
She probably would ask some of the Heart of Pittsfield to help her on some of that too. You'd probably get more than one person incorporated in it when it's all said and done.
That would be good.
Which
is good. There's nothing wrong with
Start
that.
out
It'll help.
with Jane,
And
yeah.
I think the same way is go maybe even go up with Tom Roberts and tell him, let's just update him. Listen, this is what I take, lawn clippings and leaves, but I don't want your pine needles, and I don't, so they know, it's a refresher to them. I don't want this stuff anymore. This doesn't break down fast enough. This is not a good compostable material, so we need to do that every once in a while. It's just like anything else. Things change.
Yes, and we'll be getting down to that subject shortly, and what everybody wants to talk about.
Yeah, the next is, any questions?
So basically, our priorities here, just due to the environment, the COVID-19, is the composting and the video clips, basically. Yeah.
All right, so the next thing is old business. Many items are starting to move forward again. So my biggest concern, and what has been talked about, it's been talked about at the town council meetings as well, is the reuse center. What are our plans due to COVID-19? What can we do moving forward? And this is a wide open conversation because there's no good set system because we've never been through this before. But we have to have some kind of a system in place where it is safe for you guys to handle stuff. I don't want anybody getting sick.
Chris Ferrier is trying to get in, I think that's Chris Ferrier. Says, hey Donnie, if you get this, I'm trying to get into the meeting, but need the password.
So there's nothing there. That's what I think.
Says I need the password, thanks Chris. So I don't know if
I
that's...
sent it to her twice. The one that I sent to you that had the Zoom on it,
Yeah.
that's what she needs, so you could send that to her.
Let me see, I can,
I sent it to, her work and her home.
Let's see if we can get her on, 'cause she's a big member. Again, biggest concern going forward, we're gonna make sure, number one, that we have some kind of a system in place that can handle certain things, so you guys don't have to handle it. Because you don't wanna be the cross-contamination thing. And the other thing is, I wanna make sure you have help down there to do that. And that's why one of the things I wanted to discuss tonight was coming up with a system because eventually we're gonna get there. I don't know how soon, but eventually we're gonna get there. And what needs to be cleaned, do we need to get it ready? We gotta get it ready before we can do anything ahead and things of this nature. So all this stuff has been brought up in other meetings, so.
So it's been closed off all this time, so it's safe to go in there and touch what's there, because it's been in there, you know, for months,
Right.
basically. Even though it's cold, it's been in there for many months.
So, yeah, so any.
I would still wear gloves, but I think it's fine to go in there, air the place out. So I said I would talk with the library about what they were doing, because they were trying to clean things, bought a special cleaner, and what they're being recommended now by the library groups that they're in is that everything is left out for 3 days, at least 3 days. They don't touch it, and it is there to get the virus to die off.
Mhm.
So for things that we take, I can't see opening up right now because it'd be a free-for-all. But couldn't we take items by appointment, and then you would get the items? However, we did that, and then 3 days later, or a week later, you'd go in and get it so we could get a good inventory going. If people had things at their homes that they wanted to get rid of in their business. But I don't think that we can open up at this point fully, because there'd just be too many people there, things would all be moving around. It doesn't have a right setup. We'd have to figure out the number of people that could be in the building. There's no way to do the people coming in.
I think that you
By
wouldn't have no
appointment.
more than 5, because that's most of your convenience stores, so you couldn't have more than 5 people, and that's counting the people that are in the building.
I know, I just don't see,
Right.
And then you've got people coming in and touching everything, and then
Yeah.
you've got a new group of people coming in and touching everything. You guys, I couldn't give you enough sanitizer
Right.
probably to be able to keep you safe.
And that's the other thing, I think, probably the thing that worries me the most is with Deanna and some of the other volunteers, that you're not spring chickens. I found out I'm not 25 years old anymore. Yesterday, I had a young lady come down and had a gas grill, and she couldn't get her tailgate down. So I helped and got on the leg, she helped, and once she cleared the tailgate, she decided that it was all mine then, and I had a pop in my shoulder this afternoon. I couldn't lift my arm above my head. But it's the same way with your the compromised immune system. Right now, we know it's anybody over 60 is at risk. And if you've got a lot of people that are working there that are over 60, it really scares me. I don't want to be responsible for Deanna getting sick. I don't want to be responsible for anybody getting sick.
so we could do the inventory if we.
We could take stuff.
Take stuff by appointment, leave it in there for a week, and then go in and sort it out and everything, and get it ready for when we.
How much
can
stuff have
open.
you got down there, Deanna, that has been there so
Since
long?
last fall.
Oh, you could clean,
So
get rid
the
of
stuff
some.
that's been there so long that there's stuff, you must have stuff that just isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
That we probably could help make
Yeah.
some room to get
Yeah.
rid of some of the stuff that's been there for quite a while, so we could get inventory and have room to put it in there and let it set.
Go
The
ahead.
last of it, we had a lot of books. And if
That's, I know we
money's got
get a
in,
lot of soft copy. I knew we get a lot of them, but I down here, the last time I was there, one of the things the other thing that bothers me is a lot of the times when they bring the books in and they donate a lot of them soft covers
Yeah.
the girls get listeria and stuff. There's a lot of mouse droppings in a lot of the boxes,
my.
and then you have to worry about some of them have been moist and wet, and worrying about a mold issue and stuff like that for the air quality in the building. But at some point, I think I've said it before, that there's some stuff that just hasn't gone, that nobody's
And-
done, and do a
There's-
purge to get some of that stuff out of there and maybe
There's a lot
clean.
of odd electronics.
Right. And we
That's
recycle
it.
those anyway, so we ought to probably take them over and get them in the recycling. Maybe do a purge of some of the stuff that's not in the greatest shape, and it'll give us an opportunity to get in and maybe do not after the purge, do some cleaning. We can do some
Okay.
scrub down in there and then take stuff in.
Yep.
But if
Okay,
we
this is
get-
good.
Just limit how many people at a time, but when we open that, they're all congregated.
Yeah, this is
right
what's
at
gonna be
door,
the hard
and-
thing.
The other issue, it is town property, and then you've got them, it's not just a let alone the building, it's what takes place on the parking lot.
Right.
Somebody pulling with a truck, and you got 13 people hanging over the truck trying
Exactly.
to bother and get that thing out of the truck and get it moved somewhere else.
So I like,
You've been getting a lot of the new stuff, haven't you? Right at the transfer
Yeah,
station.
we get stuff, and stuff goes out fast as we can put it out front. I mean, we're still reusing, we've always done that anyway, since day one, even with a reuse center. People come up during the week, we don't
Even
even.
if,
So-
we tried staying open 2 days a week, would it slow it down?
I
I
don't know.
think it's just gonna be a
Especially the
massive
people,
rush
you
at the
know.
beginning.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
so when I had to advertise the opening of the town office, we were really clear. We said, do not come down the first day. There will be lines. You don't wanna wait in line. We did all the online things, and because we advertised it so much, it kept it, so you could function, although there were lines. The
I
lines
think
weren't long.
I think at this point, we do a purge and clean it
Yeah.
up. We take some stuff in, like you said, give it some time to sit there for a little bit. And I think it's the same way. Maybe we can put something out, Catherine, that if somebody's in dire need of something,
Mhm.
and because we do have people that are lost their jobs and there's people out of work that probably could use some stuff, maybe we could do that by appointment too, maybe.
Yeah.
On one day, say, okay, listen, by appointment, on Saturday from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock,
Yeah.
if somebody has a desperate need for something or is in look of something. And again, if somebody's there, you could tell them too, well, we don't have that. Because you girls are there, well, we don't have any of that stuff, we'd like to help, but it's not there. Stops them from, oh, okay, I guess I don't need an appointment, you ain't got what I need, or what I'm looking for, to be able to get through what I'm going through.
But of course, a lot of it at the last event was odd dishes.
Yeah, and we got a guy that came up today and asked 3 or 4 times, asked about the reuse when it's gonna be open. I said, we're having a meeting tonight or whatever. And he said, well, I get a lot of stuff over there. And I said, you do? He said, yeah. He said, yeah. Had a Toyota pickup. He was probably a guy in his late 50s. And he said, I get a lot of stuff over there. He says, I go over and bargain hunt and I swap and sell stuff. And I said, well, I'm not going to guarantee it's going to be open. I said, but I don't guarantee that this is going to be part of your business. So rely on us to give you business or whatever else. I said, because we haven't decided yet. So once we decide, obviously we can't stop people from coming in and doing it, but right now we just don't know.
One thing I'd like to bring up, it was mentioned to me at the council meeting last night, is I had a couple councilors ask me, maybe if this would be a good idea to check in with Goodwill and check in with Pennywise and see if there's a procedure that they use to try to keep things safe while they're handling this material, other than what we do. Is there some kind of a system that they use? Maybe we can get some pointers from them. That was Amanda and Heather. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Some of the facilities hadn't opened up, but some are open, so it would be good to check with something that is of comparable size or not too big.
Yeah, because I don't know what they're doing for protective measures over to Pennywise, but again, that's a private
Yeah,
Right.
I would do
organization.
like a Goodwill.
They're a private citizen, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
I still think that, again, when you're handling materials, you don't know where they're coming from and how many people have hacked and coughed on them and how long they've had them, and that sort of stuff would set up a red flag for myself.
Yeah.
And again, with Deanna and some of the older ladies that are working down there handling stuff, we can take care of that. We can give you gloves, I mean, and we can give you a mask, but it's, you know, we get people in there, and again, how do you police them?
Yeah. So I think the first thing, which we know we can do, is we've got odd dishes, odd electronics, we got books. We need to do the purge.
Okay.
It's
And then-
all been closed
And
off.
we could help with that,
Open it
Deanna,
up.
if we need to. I can bring one of those containers down,
Uh-huh.
set it right beside the building, and I can, with one of my guys, when we get a few spare minutes, I can send them down. You guys don't have to be doing the heavy duty work or whatever. We can get guys to lug things out, and we'll try to figure out that what can be recycled and what, like the electronics and that sort of stuff. It's the same way when you wanna do a cleaning or something, to
Yeah.
do a purge, when we wanna do a sanitizing the inside or
Yes.
whatever, to get ready
Step
to
two is
accept materials.
cleaning and sanitizing.
Go right through it. I mean, it's not that
That's
big of
the
a
way
deal. We couldn't do that
I feel
today.
personally.
Yeah.
It's not that the girls don't want to do it, but we want to be safe too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Listen,
and like I said, I
Jerry, you
wouldn't
want
feel
to
good if
throw it in?
somebody got sick. That would be the first person that would feel bad about anybody. Because you got, again, you're a volunteer. And
So you
I can't
want,
keep everybody safe. And there's
So
always that
what we're
possibility.
basically talking about right now is, like she said she doesn't think we can keep it safe. So if we purge it and clean it and we set things up by appointment, if somebody's got
To
something.
drop it
really
off.
neat,
And
we
we
have an
drop
appointment
off.
to come down individually.
only drop off right now.
drop off right now, and then once we start getting an inventory up, Deanna can say, she can call me and say, hey, listen, we've got a pretty good inventory, and maybe let's start by appointment. Because again, it was made to hopefully that people who need stuff can get it. And if people are having a hard time, if people don't want the food cupboard, like I know they are and stuff, that are gonna, down the road the next few weeks, maybe people are still gonna need stuff. And we still don't even know that if we're not gonna have a second roundabout. They're
Right.
talking about
That way we
September,
don't fill the
October,
doors
having
open
another
to stuff.
roundabout with this stuff.
We just do this by appointment to drop off. Once your inventory gets done, if there's a need, we can set up an appointment where that person has the need.
We can do it when, we can advertise it, say, listen, Saturday between 10 and 1 or something, if anybody has a immediate need for something, then we can do it by appointment. So you're getting one or those two people interaction. You're not getting 6 or 8 people in there at once, and you can, and again, that's what it was there for originally, is to reuse stuff and help people. And I feel bad because there are people in need, and I just, I
That
think,
way you just don't have a free for all with
You
them.
don't
They're
have a
coming
bunch of
down,
people.
swapping stuff, going in
Yeah,
and
we
handling
can't
everything.
do that.
You guys can monitor if somebody comes in there. Let's say we wouldn't have any more than 3 people in there at any given time.
We'd have to determine the number by the size of the retail chart, which Donnie.
it's
could
5,
do.
it's 5.
Okay.
For that square footage, it'd be 5. So that's again, so you'd have, if you had 2 of you there, you couldn't have, I wouldn't feel comfortable more than 3 people in there at
So that
times to
would be
make
3
the
people
total
from the
5.
outside. That'd be it. Is everybody good with that? Does that sound like a reasonable thing? It does to me.
Yeah, and it may be,
There's no room to drop off a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that kitchen area gets filled.
and that's why I'm saying that's why we probably ought to do a purge first, because
Yes.
I know we've been in, there's been stuff that's been
Just
in there for
that
6 or 8
we-
months that
yeah.
nobody's really gonna want. The soft cover books, we can recycle those.
Yes.
The electronic stuff, we can recycle that. It's not like we're throwing it in the garbage. We're doing proactive things with the program. There obviously there is gonna be some stuff that we're gonna throw away. But anything that's
Please
metal,
slow down them dropping off stuff during the week.
right,
Oh, yeah.
And then we have to go in and pour the
right.
junk.
And that's why I said if you do the drop off by appointment only,
Yeah.
then you yourself or somebody can go down and open it up for them and let them, then that way you know the amount of stuff that you're getting. And you can say, okay, we're overwhelmed. We can't take any more this week, so
Yeah.
until we can let this sit and then we can organize it. And then next week you say, okay, now we've got room for more stuff. Because we don't want you to get overburdened with it either. We don't want you to people dropping stuff off and filling it floor to ceiling, and then you've got stuff, not proper aisleways, and that's the other thing. Again,
Like-
part of the purge is to maintain that 6-foot social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you couldn't do that
Well,
because there's not enough room.
out of town people that do it more than,
Right. And there are a lot of, and again, I don't care if they're from out of town, if they come over, if there's a need,
yeah.
again, make an appointment. If you know, this,
It's a public building, so we can't restrict the people that go in. Of course, you've got the state quarantine for people coming in from out of state.
Yeah.
But for all of us, if we have the 6-foot distance, which right now we can't get, so purge is number one, and when we do that, we should air out the whole place before the ladies go in.
Oh,
2,
definitely.
clean it, sanitize it. 3, do the scheduling for drop off, because you'll have room to get the new inventory only by appointment. And then we'll take it from there, and once we get built up, we'll see
And
what
again, we'll
what's
know
going
more
on.
in July, because July,
Yeah.
after this July 11th, we're supposed to get some more guidance
Yes.
from the CDC and what they're thinking. Again, we don't even know with schools. I've heard a bunch of hubbub out there that they may not even start school in fall. So if that's the case scenario, then if they think it's that second wave and we're gonna have that type of a problem, maybe
But if the weather is good, we
Good,
can
yeah.
go in later in the fall.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yes.
it's all dependent on what happens. There's a lot of, that's what I told people, next week it could change.
Yeah.
This whole monitoring with temperature and doing that stuff, next week she could come out and the CDC make a directive, say you don't have to do that anymore, then perfect. That's
So
all.
what's good about this is you can get the building in really good order, and either, depending on what's going on with the COVID-19, we may be able to open, we may not, but later on we will, and it'll be ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other question I had was, if somebody wants to schedule a drop-off, who would they call? Because that would be the question that the council asked me. Would we have something in place? Well, first of all, we can't do a thing until everything's clean and purged anyway. That's
Well,
first.
one of the first things, they could call the transfer station. I mean, I got a key, I could go over and take stuff over there, but again, Deanna and her volunteer, is that somebody at the back door?
I think it's the cleaning stuff.
Okay, and then she can come, we can I can stay in contact with Deanna or the girls and say, hey, listen, I just had a person bring over 20 or 30 boxes on Tuesday. If you want to come over and organize and do whatever, there's opportunity to do that. It's been long enough for you to do it. Because again, some of the stuff we get, we put it out front right now because it's the uncertainty.
Yeah.
And we just leave it out front. We don't even handle it. And if somebody wants to come and grab it, that's their problem.
It's on them.
It's on them. There's no
Responsibility on us to
Okay.
do that. But we've been doing that for a long time and they've still had the inventory. But if we can do a purge and get some of that good stuff, I just assume go across the street, open the key and say, now I can start putting it over here.
Yeah.
Give them an opportunity. They have room, they have time to sort it. It gives us a little period of time to sort stuff and get things out where they need to be and say, okay, now when it's time to open, you've got an inventory, you've got stuff there, and we're gonna be full-fledged. You know, as soon as we open the doors, that's why I said that 5 people thing, that I don't see that happening.
That's out the
Because-
window and that.
And again, how do you enforce it?
Well,
Does
it-
Deanna call me and I go,
Well,
there's 12 people there and they're gonna say, we're not leaving, you can't make me, and this is what I'm here for.
Well,
we don't want that.
If we get to that point when we're open, you are supposed to have a monitor at the door, so we
Right.
would need a volunteer who would be
That would be able to say, we've got the
keep things in
people in
order.
there, you can wait.
A strict.
You know how people don't want to wait if they think they're going to get something for free, right? Sometimes that doesn't work very well.
So here, it's a different situation, but we had absolutely no issues. Everybody kept in order on the social distancing, 6 feet away. They followed the circles, they followed the rules. You know, they didn't like the mask thing. You know, we had a few people that don't do that, but you can't enforce it. But in terms of following the directions, they did a wonderful job. But the retail is a different situation.
Right, it
Because
is.
there's bargains there. It's not like you're getting your registration or you're paying your water or sewer bill. It's like bargains, so they're gonna rush in.
And that's the other thing, my wife's dealt with it with her store, she's got a five-person maximum, and she had a guy the other day that got unruly come in, it was a husband, wife, and 3 kids, well, she was already at the maximum capacity, and he said, well, this is the whole family, it's not like we're gonna affect each other. She was like, well, I've got 4 other people in the store that you guys could possibly infect, or they could infect you, so you can only count us as one family unit. She actually had it happens, they wanna force their way in and get in there, you can't stop them.
And sometimes it is, it's tough. I mean,
Most people will be good, but we will need a
look at Black Friday. For God's sake, they trample each other over to get in there to get a TV for $99. I can't imagine if they got it for free right there.
Yeah. So do we need to schedule, is that something we need to schedule, or you just wanna
Let's go.
kinda look at it as we go along when it's convenient to do
Yeah,
the
look at
purge
it.
and,
Yeah, look at
I think
what's
we can,
going on.
with what's going on right now, the next week is pretty busy, but the
Yeah.
week after, I think we could probably start doing a purge.
Yeah.
And I can stay in touch, Deanna comes up at least once a week, I'll give her a heads up when we're gonna do it, she can be available, we'll do that, and we'll do some cleaning. Like you said, you're out the building a
After
little bit.
the holiday. We can plan on
Yes,
that.
yes, preferably after the holiday. Not before.
Not
that's
that
the only
we're
reason is-
gonna do anything.
The reason is too, and we're gonna stop the
Okay.
rental of our cans, our dumpsters, and it was supposed to stop June 1st, we moved it to August 1st, and I've had 10 calls a week to rent dumpsters.
Oh, my
I
goodness.
know it's ending, so they're trying to all that
Busy,
rush to
yeah.
get things cleaned up, so I just wanna make sure we have the dumpster available if we need it, so.
okay, sounds like a pretty good plan going
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, after the holidays,
And
that's-
we've got a regular crew.
And after the
that
holidays?
wants to go again.
Yep.
And just, my wife has said, you know, and it depends on what's going on, but if you guys need some help occasionally down there on Saturday, when she can, she'd be down and give you guys a
Yeah.
hand. She may not be able to do it every week or when, but, you know. So once this thing opens up, we'll be looking for some other volunteers to help you guys. I don't know.
Between
We'll have,
Faye and
but, you know,
Beverly, and we've got Michelle Hapley, Timmy's wife.
yeah, yeah.
She's a good worker.
So we'll need to update our volunteer, form that we fill out.
Yeah, once that
We'll get,
opens.
once we get closer here.
Yeah, I would say probably the week after the 4th, we could do our purge and stuff, and then the 11th is when we'll get new correspondence from the CDC, so that'll give us some other directions to be able to look at and see where we're gonna be at, and then we can start doing the by appointment for drop off and stuff, and we'll go from there, we'll see how it works, and
Yeah,
All right. Well,
no,
there, that'll solve a lot of the problems right there.
Well, I think that this sounds really good because it's a rare opportunity that you can clean out and, you know, straighten out your building because it's always so hectic.
because it's looked pretty good so far this spring.
Yeah.
All righty. Trash to treasure days. Anything we want to add on to that?
If we're gonna open up the reuse building and have a plan, this was, if we didn't open up the reuse building, we would revert back to the trash to treasure days. So I think that as long as this moves along, we can just
Yeah.
keep that in the back
Incorporate it
burner.
in. Okay. Now there's a thing that says textile box.
All right,
yeah, that's
textiles.
new and exciting. KB Cobb, what is it, Gabe Gobbin is his name, KB
Yeah,
Cobb,
yeah.
is looked into heading up this new thing. He's one of the solid waste specialists for KB Cobb with this new company. What's the name of them again, Catherine?
Apparel.
Something, yeah.
All right, I did write that down.
Apparel. But anyway, we used to have that recycle box for the clothing and stuff up at the transfer station at one point in time, and the company ended up
Right.
pulling the boxes. We got a new company that's willing to do it, so we're gonna start saving some more textiles again. Old clothing stuff. We get a lot from the Pennywise. That's always been a concern. They keep it there for so long. Then they have a bag sale, and then Teddy Holmes brings it down, throws it all in the dumpster.
Different from Skills?
Huh?
Is it different from Skills?
Yes, it is. This is actually, I think this is a private company that actually recycles the materials and actually refabricates them back into fabric and cloth. So it's a part of the reusing thing. I know out in the West, Levi Strauss used to do that. They take all your old jeans, and they use the same material over and over and over and over again. It's
Fairly well recyclable. Same with this company, I think they're doing the same thing. Again, I'll get more specifics when Gabe gets closer to get the box, that we're actually gonna have it at the transfer station, what can be accepted, what can't. I know a lot of people, with the last company, we used to put a lot of shoes and stuff in there. It's like, they don't want shoes, they want cloth apparel, they don't want leather shoes. But, so this is a new one that's gonna come in and fill a void, and I guess they've got a process where they reuse all of the textiles, so.
So the company's called Apparel Impact, and they'll be doing this for like 8 to 10 towns.
Apparel impact.
Apparel Impact. And KB Cog said they would do all the press releases because that way we match up all the information, we all give out the same thing.
So that's kind of exciting because we do a lot of textiles. We got a lot of textile. We've been saving some and doing a bale every once in a while. There's a company that's out of Bangor. It's called DWS, and they make rags. And they take what they've got and they shred them and they make them into rags when they need them. But they're not in huge demand. So every once in a while we would get rid of them that way. But they're talking.
We could get rid of, 8, 10, 15, 20 tons depending on what's there, so we can get a large charge of that stuff out of the waste stream. So it's another great avenue. I think it's a great thing. I think it'll be popular.
Our last ones were popular.
Any idea when they had, I'm just curious, if they had some kind of not a startup date, but a general idea when this might happen, KV Cog?
I think he said sometime in July, the last email I got from him. It was gonna
So the KV Cog staff have just gone back to the office last week, so I think that will move things along for sometime in July.
Starting in July.
Yeah, I think it's going to be
That'll be
something
good
in July.
Yes, that's something the other companies couldn't make a go of it, it just cost them too much, so this is a larger operation.
Well, that's good news. The other thing I wanted to discuss, if I could, is Councilor Deb Billings brought something up. And she's talking about, this ties into because we can't do an awful lot as a council with different activities for the kids in the summertime because of the way things have been. But she was talking about starting up a True Arts program that would encompass some reuse of items as a component. So, like an art program. So, we kind of thought, well, you know what, when we're purging the reuse center, if we get some art projects that she could use, if she decided to start this up, could we put them out to one side and donate them? How would you want to go about
I
it?
get plenty of stuff. If all we would need is a list of things that she wants, because depending on what they do. A lot of people do art craft projects out of jars. Some use them out of crushed glass. Some are looking for colored glass. Some people are looking for chalk. Some are looking for paints. Some are looking. So if we could get a generated list, because I'll tell you, there's a lot of stuff that comes in. We get a lot of. I'm not going to put it out there, but we get a lot of stuff in our paper, and I'm not going to say where it's coming from, that I find half reams of construction paper, and I mean, we find stuff that people, when they start doing a cleanup, when they do a purge, there's a lot of stuff that I could see. But again, we used to do that when they had the, over in Skowhegan, they used to have the Votech school over there, and they used to do stuff, and a couple of the kids decided after they took the welding classes that they wanted to do kind of like, Stanley Short do some artwork with the welding, and we used to have them come in and take weird pieces of iron, weird pieces of lamps, and they would make projects and do stuff out of that. So we used to know what they were looking for. Like if it was a piece of rebar, we used to save it. If it was a flat piece of metal that was between 2 foot long, no thicker than a ½ inch, we used to save the stuff out for them. I think the same thing here. I think if whatever they need, if they had a list, I'm sure we could fulfill a lot of that.
So
We get a lot of stuff.
this would not end up not being something this year,
Right.
because there's too many restrictions on it, but that doesn't mean we can't collect up the items.
Right, exactly.
So I'll put it out to Deb that at the next meeting that, when this gets going, create a list and have them give it to you, and do you
Oh,
okay with
yeah,
that?
definitely, we'll maintain it, there's a lot of stuff, I know people do stuff with food colors, people, when they clean up, they got old food coloring, and stuff that they're throwing away, I mean, there's stuff that, seashell, stuff like that, we get people that throw, I had a guy the other day that was throwing a whole box of them away, I said, put them out front, I'll take them, he says, what are you gonna do with them, put them in jars and sell them or something? I said, no, actually, I'm gonna crush them and put them in my soil in my garden, it gives air spacing to my roots and my plants. He says, geez, I got a garden, I never heard of such a thing. I said, well, they work very, very well. So there's opportunity there. What do they need? I'm sure we could find a lot of stuff that they could use.
Sure. And, even if it doesn't start up till next year at this time, at least you know what you're looking for.
And we could start setting some, maybe they'd be so self-sufficient that they need very little to start their program.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right.
So the recycling trailer, which people ask about every day, coming back here? Will it come back after all the restrictions are taken off, or do we need to put a camera up?
I was
Or-
waiting, I've told everybody it should be back after July 11th.
Okay.
I'm assuming on that day, the governor will, CDC, the main DP, somebody's gonna have some of them. The only concern I have right now is what's gonna happen because of other programs. What's happening is people still wanna recycle, and some of them other programs recycle more than what we do. I will tell you, the last one that we pulled out of there, I was pretty disappointed actually. There was pills, there were needles, there was bags of food, like we had a food composting program. There was clear bags full of all of the types of recycling together, which I think that probably came from Palmyra, from their single stream. That's how they used to do that. Or they just throw all the recycling in one bag and throw it in. There was dog waste. I was actually very disappointed because the newspaper portion of the trailer and the plastic portion of the trailer, I had to dump in the dumpster.
It just
I
doesn't make
wasn't gonna have
any
employees
sense.
handle it. It was disgusting.
It is.
And one of the other things that and I know Tim, you're on the council, one of the things that, and I know it's difficult, it's that same thing when we talk about enforcement. I've been up here in that center, I've been up in that center console, that center island out here where that kiosk is, about 35 times in the last 3.5 weeks, where people are dumping stuff, still recycling right there. And they're just walking away leaving it. So I've mentioned it to a couple of police officers that please, if you see them doing it, that's littering.
Yeah.
Don't call me up and tell me that I need to come pick it up.
No.
When you see them do it, say it's littering and tell them that they can't leave it there. Well, the DA won't enforce us to write them up for littering. The court system's clogged up. He ain't even gonna look at it.
Well, they don't
Well,
need-
at least go over and ask
Yeah,
them
they
politely,
don't
please
need to write them
don't
up.
leave it there. There's not a bin there. And I'll tell you, the last one that I found, the person came down to the transfer station, and it was somebody that I had very high regard for. And when I had the discussion with him that I found it there in the center island, it got very nasty at me, and I lost all my respect for the person. Very respected person in town. And I said, I'll tell you what I will do. I'll start putting it on Facebook. I'll make a hall of shame. That when you start leaving it there, I'll take pictures and I'll say exactly where they come from and who's doing it. And we'll let the public decide what type of person you are. I said, but I'm not that type of person and I wouldn't do that. I said, all I did was ask you, please, there's not a bin there. When you put it on the ground, it's littering.
Can we?
And I was told that that was my job, and if we were incompetent and couldn't put the bin there, then that's where I was gonna find it from now on. And I said, well, there.
So we need
guess I
a
was told.
sign there that says bin to come back on July, in July, do not dump. We need to put a sign up, and then the police need to.
And maybe put something there
enforce
too
it.
that says, please don't put the stuff, I
Yeah,
know we've done it
please don't
before,
do
but
it.
please don't put stuff on the ground. If the bin is full, the bin is full, take it to the transfer station. And I will tell you, I've had a lot of nice people that I've met in this community that have come up over the last month and a half that I didn't even know lived in.
Yes, because they always go to the bin.
And didn't realize our facility was there and went, wow, I'm gonna start bringing my stuff here from now on, and got a lot of good compliments. My employees got a lot of good compliments, a lot of pats on the back, which has made things very nice for those guys to see that there are people out there that do care about it. And they said, this is just amazing. We're gonna start coming and bringing our stuff here. They didn't realize they've always dumped it there. And I don't think that probably all of the problem is even close to being the residents' pits here. There are
Yeah.
other people looking for means and ways. I mean, I've seen it. I feel bad for A.E. Robinson up there, Ted. I've seen people get off the interstate and stuff those trash cans outside 3/4 full of stuff and broken bottles, and when they drive away, they don't even have time. The clerks in there to come out and change a bag, and there's stuff blowing all over the parking lot. I mean, I feel bad for them.
So have you talked to the police chief about this?
One day I mentioned it, he actually saw me pick it up, and he says it's probably the same thing. He says it's just that the court system is clogged. The DA is not gonna have anybody pay a fine for litter.
Well, that doesn't matter. If the police officer goes over and tells them that they can't put it there, they're gonna leave with it.
And I said the same thing. I said, now if I had a bunch of stuff and I walked up on your front lawn and dropped a trash bag full of stuff, whether it was recycling or not, you'd be mad at me.
You know, all they gotta do is just say, listen, here's the deal.
And I think the worst thing is I feel bad for Rennies, I feel bad for Paw Owners, I feel bad for Vittles, I feel bad for the few people that live here on Middle Street that the stuff is blowing all over the parking lot. And
If they tell them, they say, listen, this isn't the transfer station. There's not a container here to put in. You pick that up and you get rid of it, or you'll get a ticket for littering.
You know the sad thing.
They'll pick it up and get rid of
We've
it.
had
And
the
they
same
don't
thing,
even
Mike
have to
Havey has
do
picked
that.
up the bin. We always do this, and when we do this recycling bin, it's a pretty good schedule. Every Tuesday morning, we empty the bin, it's back after lunch. Every Friday, we empty the bin, it's back. In the morning, we pick it up, after lunch, it's back. And Mike will bring that bin up, and before he can get it back down here, they've already set stuff on the tire out there where you gotta put the bin. He's gotta get out, move all the stuff out of the way, back the bin in, set it down, and then load the bin. I said, it happens over 2 hours while we're unloading the bin, and then we get people that call that are mad and saying, why is that bin always gone? Well, you always come on Tuesday morning and Friday morning when we empty this. A lot of people don't understand that bin goes to my facility and has to get unloaded. A lot of people I don't know if they think it just has a hatch in the ground that just magically drops into and on a conveyor belt, but a lot of people think that just empties itself, I guess.
We need signing, for the island.
Yeah, we
I think
should have a sign up
yeah, I
that
think
says
we-
when it's gonna be gone.
And I think maybe that'd be proactive if we did them all. When bin is gone, don't place stuff on the ground. We pick up the bin Tuesday morning between 8 and noon, and Friday between 8 and noon to dump the material out. It will be back expeditiously. And usually on major holidays, we pull it because that's when everybody else is visiting. It could be from people from away or whatever, and that's when all of the garbage gets thrown in there because of the holiday weekend, and we may or may not be closed. And that's kind of why we aligned the transfer station to be closed and open, just like the surrounding area. So we would prohibit those people from saying, well, they're open on this day, they're closed this day, mine's closed, so I'm just gonna go to Pittsfield, they're open. And we've noticed a big drop in out of town people doing that when we went with Newport, it was closed on Sundays and Mondays like we are, and with Thorndike's closed on Sundays and Mondays. So we align with everybody else, so no matter where they go, they're not gonna be able to get rid of the garbage until their transfer station opens.
So can you list out, this is not a high priority because we've got till July
Right.
11th, but list out what you want on the signs.
Myself personally, if I could make a suggestion, it's just a suggestion, I don't wanna create extra work for you, but when you put that sign out, I personally would like to see it say that do not leave recyclables or trash on the ground when this trailer is not here. If you do, it is a littering fine, which is punishable up to blah, 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 blah. I mean, you know.
It at least gives them a little bit of a turn. I have them on my gate that says, don't leave trash by my gate.
Yeah.
We always used to come in the mornings, and we'd go to open up the gates, and there was always trash bags there. And obviously they were smart enough, they didn't have addresses and stuff, you couldn't tell if it was from out of town or Pittsfield, but we're not gonna leave it there. We took it up and threw it in the dumpster. We had signs made up that said it's $100, do not leave trash by the gate. If you're found, it'll be $100, which it is, $100 fine. And we've never had a problem with it again.
The other thing you can do is if we find out who keeps doing it, then they should lose their, you know, you could also use that club that says, listen, that's no different than you throwing it up there at the transfer station, leaving it there. It's all part of the same operation.
Right.
If you continually do that, you're gonna lose your rights to use this transfer station.
Right.
I mean, that, you know,
That's
if
a
you
sad
continue to
thing,
do it.
You really don't wanna do that. Sometimes it's frustrating, it is, and sometimes I've seen the name over and over again, certain names, and it makes me wanna go up, take it up and go up and throw it on their lawn.
Yeah.
And when they come back out and say, how did that get there? I took that down there and threw it in the parking lot. Oh, so you threw it in the parking lot, so you admit to that.
I thought you lost it.
I thought you lost it, so I brought it back to you. Yeah, exactly. But no, I wouldn't, I just think that, again, it's and I hate to say that, so many people use it and they do a good job. They really do. They look forward to it, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of people from out of town that use that bin, and still use it
Oh, yeah.
very well.
Yeah.
Because they come into work in Pittsfield, and it's convenient for them. Like Catherine said, at night, they
Oh,
work
yeah.
second shift somewhere, they come over, get rid of their stuff, and then they go home.
Yeah.
It's a good deal for the public, and it's a well-used
spot. I mean, when we originally started it,
It worked well up to remember when we had it at the Plaza Tin.
Yeah.
Then it got to the point where we were getting more trash than anything else because they were coming off it wasn't the people in town, people come off the interstate, giving it a chance to unload their cars and their trucks of all their garbage and soda containers and then we ended up having one burn twice. They caught the thing, remember they caught it on fire and I said,
Yeah.
that's it, we gotta have a better place to put this because this is just advertising for people to throw their garbage and set the thing on fire. We've had good luck here.
Yeah.
So of 100 people that use the trailer, 97 or 98 would do a great job, and a few people, it's just why you have rules.
Yeah,
A few
and-
people don't.
And
do
people,
things right.
and every once in a while you'll see, when somebody's moving out of an apartment or something, because you'll get a bunch of stuff in there that doesn't belong in there, whether it be, kitchen dishes and stuff in the glass, or whatever. You can tell from the stuff that somebody was obviously moving out of a place, so they're leaving the area or whatever, and it's like, I'm out of here.
The thing that irritates me, and I don't want any names, but the thing that irritates me is I'm going to bet that person you was discussing knows better.
Oh, they did, and they do, and like I said, I'm a highly respected person, and I really lost a lot of respect for him when I got that for an answer. And like I said, I don't want to start any trouble. This is the reason behind why we don't want to do it. That's why it's not there. And it was like, well, that's your job. And like I was
Instead of
stupid.
saying, sorry,
And I
Donnie, I
said,
was in a hurry, I took a
could've-
shortcut.
And that's what I told him. I said after that, I said, if you want to have that type of attitude to it, I said, I can do a hall of shame on Facebook. There ain't nothing you can do. I'll start taking pictures and posting your name and take pictures of you and shame you all over town. And when you got 30 people that look at you and say, well, that's the guy that thinks he's better than everybody else and throws whatever he wants wherever he wants. And I said, but I'm not that. I don't think we need to get to that point. People are good. I hate to say that, but most people are good. And and maybe he was having a bad day.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've had bad days. I don't treat anybody that way on my bad days, but some people do. And it was disappointing. And it was like the third time it happened since it's been gone. And I just said, I don't understand what they're thinking. I don't understand. And when they came to the transfer station, I asked them what they were thinking because I found it. I said, you got all your mail, your address. I know it was you. And admitted to it. Said that was my job. The trailer wasn't there. I was incompetent. The trailer should be there and it's not there, so it's my problem. Deal with it.
Wow.
So we'll come up with some signs for that.
And I think maybe signs would maybe the same way, because again, I don't think people realize, and I've done education with people that now know that Tuesday mornings and Friday mornings that it's gone, so now I got people that know they don't load up their car and bring it up here and go, oh, they're never here, because I've had a lot of people say, it's never here, it's never here. What do you mean it's never there? It's always there, until we have to dump it. And people are good with it. So
Yeah.
if we put signs saying,
We can
okay,
follow
this is the
that.
times that we take it, this is when it's available, don't leave stuff on the ground, please, and
Alrighty.
So Tim, last couple of items, unless I missed something, the new transfer station fee schedule will go into effect on August 1st. So we're gonna have an ad in the Rolling Thunder next Monday that lists this out. And so basically what's gonna happen is that the residents and the solid waste haulers and the contractors' businesses will pay for certain services and others are applicable. But the main item is that a transfer sticker fee will be $10 for August 1st through December 31st. A COVID-19 sale, as some of the councilors said. So everybody will get a new sticker that says 2020 on it. It'll be half year, and we didn't do this before. It was voted in, but got delayed because of COVID-19. So the cost will be $10 for residents and $20 for contractors. And then everybody will get a new sticker for January 2021 at the regular prices, which will be $20 a year for that family, and then $40 a year for the contractor.
Yeah.
And then there's some other fees that are attached.
And they get those right up here at the
Yes,
town
at
office.
the town office.
Okay.
For people who are new, they'll need to show verification that they live here. And then, of course, we've got the forms for those who hire a contractor from out of town or have a friend or relative come over so they can get their temporary pass
correct.
for the period of time that they need it. so that we don't just give those people a dump sticker and then they use it afterwards.
So we can start picking those dump stickers up in July,
Actually, I would say this Friday.
this Friday.
Yeah, we're gonna put them out. We did not put them out when all the lines were here. We still have lines, but it's too complicated for somebody to do 5 registrations and explain out the new dump sticker setup. Because the few people we explained it to, they had all kinds of questions, so that would have held up the lines. So we did, I'm glad that we made the decision not to do that.
I had one thing cleared up, like I told you guys, I said, I know it's a really stupid question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Because, I mean, I have an old truck, as you've seen it.
Yeah.
I got old cars. And do I have to put that dump sticker on my truck or my car that I'm gonna use? And the answer is no, but you just have to have it with you and be able to present it. So if something happened to my truck and I had to use another vehicle to haul my rubbish, but my dump sticker was on my truck, I don't have my dump sticker with me, technically, even though you know who I am, I couldn't get stopped in that process if somebody didn't know me or whatever.
Right.
So I could just, you can either put it on your vehicle, or you can put it on your, just take it, stick it in the back of your wallet, as long as you can produce it, correct?
Yeah, and I usually tell people, I've just seen unique things, but I've always told people a little square piece of cardboard that you can
Yes.
stick it to.
Yeah.
And some people put it on a hook and hang it off of their rearview mirror. I know that's supposedly not, I guess, kosher with Maine motor vehicle laws. I've had people that, a guy who's really unique, the old cassette tape cases, he gets it and sticks it on that and just slides it up on his dashboard, so if he's got to take it out and goes to his wife's hat, he can slide it in. I see a guy that had this little clipboard that he has his registration and a bunch of stuff on, so he just sticks it on the back of the clipboard. So he just reaches over and says, "There's my registration and your insurance information. There's my dump sticker." So
Oh,
there's
wow.
creative ways to be able to do it. Some people are real creative about it. And matter of fact, I got a guy that came in the other day that's had every dump sticker since 1984. He showed them to me. So he's awful anxious about getting his 2021. 1984. So figure that out, how many years that is, Timmy.
Yeah.
He has not missed a year to get his dump sticker.
Wow.
And he had them all right in order. I'm stuck right on, has them stuck right in a little book, notebook that he had right in his glove compartment. He flipped them right.
Wow.
Never missed a year.
Unbelievable.
So there are people that do keep them. Some people, like I said, that's probably the best way, is find something that you can stick it to and slide it on your dashboard or keep it in your glove box if you need to. Because I'm the same way. There's no need to get a $20 dump sticker if you own 4 vehicles. I
Right.
think that to me is, we don't need to do that.
So we have to contact the contractors. So do you have a list of those, or is it the best way to go through the receipts and then we'll find them? We will have their address.
Yeah, because some of them, remember, because one of the things that I want to throw out there with people is one of the things that we've done is the big thing is a demolition rate. So if somebody's tearing down a shed, a barn, whatever they're doing, their demolition, they're redoing the inside of their house, we're not going to be taking that debris at the transfer station. They're going to have to get it canned from a commercial hauler or a dumpster from a commercial hauler. And the reason behind that is, I redo my roof normally most of the time 15 to 20 years. It shouldn't be everybody's responsibility to pay the $3,000 to redo my roof, to pay to get rid of it. That cost should go to me, so I should have to get a dumpster to do that. And you're gonna find out that the demolition debris thing's gonna go down. People, for unknown reason, they don't wanna pay tax on a building. They tear it down. Well, there's $6,000-8,000 that somebody the taxpayers just paid for to get rid of the building for them. It's been long overdue. I did that over in Canaan 7 years ago, and it's gone over well. Everybody got trained. There was a little resistance at first, but people fall into the program. You'll see that probably a lot of the stuff, and there's no way for us to track that material. So a lot of that stuff could be coming from Detroit. They could tow down a chicken coop in Detroit, or from Burnham. How do we know the difference, where it came from?
Well, the good news is the waste haulers, Bolster and these different people, they'll put a container in there in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and they will, and I'll tell you, Mike and Matt both, going forward, have been really, really receptive. It's the same way with our dumpsters. We we've always rented that dumpster to people if they requested it. We didn't say that we had that service. And we made our dumpster the same as Mike's. So it wasn't like we were, oh, we get fuel cheaper. You guys don't have to pay tax on diesel fuel, so you can do it cheaper than I can. So your dumpster's cheaper than mine, so they can go with you. So they're saving money by going with you. We're not here to compete with private business. And that's one of the things, the areas with demolition debris, that you're finding that a lot of communities have had this in place for a decade or more, that they're not gonna pay for people. Again, if you pay $300 in taxes and you tear down a building that costs the town $12,000, how many years of taxes are it gonna take from that one person to recover the cost if they just cost everybody else? And again, we shouldn't be subsidizing people to do that. But I think that's the biggest change, is people are gonna have, that's gonna give them a little to get used to. Because they're used to tearing down buildings and making 32 loads of lumber and 12 loads of sheetrock and 4 loads of shingles, and that's something that it'll take a little bit, but again, advertising, word of mouth will go.
So that will all start on
August.
Facebook this week and the Rolling Thunder next week. And then we'll keep at it for quite some time.
And then as far as the transfer station enhancements, hopefully, CMP didn't lie to me or whatever, hopefully the third week of July, we're gonna have our electrical upgrade in our building moved. Hallelujah.
Is that guaranteed, or is that
I'm just
estimated?
waiting, that's what the timeline is right now, that's the last plan I got from CMP and with the electrician's availability and having somebody be able, with Steve, and the ability to take the old office out and move it. So I'm hoping, because that would be great, it would be just before we start our new fee schedule and stuff, so we'll have hopefully the new buildings there. So that's where we're at, unless something changes, and I'm hoping that nothing will change.
When will you know from CMP?
They're supposed to confirm no later than Monday.
Okay.
So that would be nice to get it set in stone, so we can start. And actually, Mark Booth, the electrician, can go over and get the materials, and he can start doing little pieces of the project, so when it comes ready, it'll expedite the process to hook it into the system, to the new building. So it's long overdue. Long overdue.
Okay, is there anything else that needs to be discussed this evening?
Meeting schedule.
Okay, when do you guys want to meet in July, or do you, how do you guys foresee that we need to do this? I don't want to overburden people with meetings that we don't need, but at the same time, I do want to stay in touch, because I think it's been a while since we met last time. What do you guys think?
You want to do it next month, or you want to do it bi-monthly until we find out what happens because we're looking at what's the second or third Wednesday in July 16th.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to interrupt people's vacation stuff either. What do you think, Catherine?
What's a vacation to me?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was gonna say.
It's not allowed.
I think
Retirement.
I think the third Wednesday in July would be a good idea.
Yep.
Because then we can go over exactly what we can do based upon the July 11th changes, if there are any.
Okay.
We'll have an update on what's going on in the facility. We'll know more about the composting in the videos.
Okay.
And we'll probably have the signs made for the center area by the recycling
That's
facility.
15, July 15th.
Trailer.
So that's July 15th?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
5 p.m.
5 p.m. All right, everybody good with that?
5 o'clock.
Okay.
I think this is good, and then you might skip August, depending on how things
How
are.
things are going.
Yeah.
You all good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to thank everybody for coming. I know we've been busy. I know it's tough to get stuff done, and I think we're being smart and prudent going forward. I want the reuse center to be successful and not turn into a debacle. And I want to make sure you guys are healthy and have enough help. Because there's no sense in doing it if we can't do it right. I think this way we meet a need, like Donnie said. We meet a need that's out there, but at the same time, we're not setting ourselves up for failure here, so.
Yeah, we at least reduce the risk. You
Right.
know what I mean? As best we can.
It's not perfect, but it works.
No, I mean, I could walk out of here tonight and get run over by a bus, there's nothing guaranteed, so it's, you know, but if we can do things to keep, my concern is keeping our people safe, our volunteers safe, not,
I want to thank you for coming in and giving your time. I know it isn't like you're lacking for stuff to do, so we appreciate you.
well, I got 6 job titles, just, sometimes they get fine lines and I'm confused a little bit, depending on what the day is, but I get through it. I've got some really good guys. I mean, Dave Whitman has stepped up to the plate, and he's learned a lot. He's got a good head on his shoulders down there. He's one of those guys that if I left for half a day to go do a special project, to go over to, like I did for Hawk Ridge or something, that I know that the place is in good hands. And Alan Sewell, the other guy that has been there for quite a while that we hired, he's very conscientious. He's early every day. He doesn't miss time. And we've got a guy that's in there temporarily, Warren Ackerman, who used to be a reserve cop. He's been helping out since we've had the other guy that's got done. And he's wonderful too. He's very good with the public and very conscientious and works and cleans and
This is good.
those guys make me look good. So hopefully with a good crew like that, I can get out and do some of my special projects and get some of the other stuff done. It allows me to get out to Hathaway Park and hang signs and do stuff. So we.
And thank you, Catherine. I know you're not lacking for things to do either, so.
No, I've never seen so much work.
Alrighty, well, thank you folks, I appreciate it.
We'll conclude
I will see you in July,
at 6:45 here.
and that's at 5 p.m., Wednesday the 15th.
We have 2 meetings going here, so we'll try to the second one off.
I'm going to take this and type it out. Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks for coming.
Hopefully.